Today is not a good day. So I have most things ready for dropping the keel. I booked my time to get it dropped, which is going to be Friday morning. My only issue is I cannot get the nut off of that bolt. So I've made a little dam with a paper cup and some sealant, and I filled it up with some PB Blaster to see if that helps. But I just cannot get that nut loose. I even borrowed an air impact wrench from another sailor here, and to no avail. I just cannot get that loose. So I don't know what happens next, but it's really annoying. All right, some success. I rocked it a little bit left and right with the impact. Let's see, there you can see it. So I've gotten that to turn maybe just about 15 degrees, but it's turning. So I think that's a good sign. Hopefully that's the nut turning around the bolt and not the bolt shearing off inside the keel, because that would be a problem. But we're gonna find out really soon. And I'm gonna keep this camera on so you can see. Oh yeah. Yes. Got it. This nut is so hot right now. It's burning up. I think I need to buy new nuts. There we go. Today is the big day. My keel is coming off. Let me show you what we got ready here. So I took all of that fiberglass and filler that was between this keel hole joint. So you can see here, that's that white layer. So here it looks really good. Here at the front, you can see an oxide layer where water was. And then there, I hope you can see that, there's some separation. A lot more separation up here. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a really smooth gel coat layer at the bottom of this keel stub, and that was the Ericson issue that I knew of, that they didn't take the wax off of that layer, so there's no good bond between the sealant and the keel stub. All about the same on this side. So I've loosened all the keel bolts that are inside, then retightened them by hand. And the way we're gonna do it, here's the keel cart. So you can kind of see the keel behind it. So I'm gonna try to get the keel in with the base down here somewhere. And the front of the keel should come just past here. And then these screws we can pinch down on the front of the keel to hold it in place. The last thing I'll do is leave the nuts not fully taken off of the keel bolts, so just on the top of the bolts, the few threads hanging on. So once we separate it, it's still attached to the boat, and then I can slide a ratchet strap between the stub and the keel. Get the ratchet strap through there and strap the keel down from the top down to the base of this cart. I think if I do that, then I'll have sufficient forces countering the desire of the keel to fall forward. As you can see, we have a pretty small foot of the keel, And this keel's heavy. It's about 6,000 pounds. 6,000 pounds of lead. So the center of mass, if I had to guess, is like, I don't know, here? It's just forward of that foot. So getting a strap kind of just over the base here, wrenching it down tight, I think that'll be a good safety precaution. The boys should be here. Keel removal was not a success at all. So the truck came in here, we lifted the boat up, I got all the keel, the nuts off from the top. My understanding was this series of boat, they had a pretty bad bond between the stub and the keel. It should, for most people who've done it, it sounded like the keel just generally pops off, like hang it in the air for 30 seconds and off it comes. That was not the case for me. So the truck was here for like almost 4 hours. Keel hanging. Here's this is a keel stand. The keel was hanging, and I went all along in here with an angle grinder as deep as I could. And once I couldn't go any deeper, thank goodness for my cruiser friends over there. They loaned me one of these. It's like a reciprocating multi-tool. So this has a pretty long arm, so I can get that in like that, quite deep. So went with that for a while, and nothing, just like this keel is not budging. So it's expensive to have the truck just sit here. So in the end, I asked the yard to bring me a whole bunch more of these stands, and we got the truck out of here and a whole bunch of stands under the boat. And I got a jack stand here, just taking some pressure of the keel, because your boat is not meant to be hanging just in the stands. Like the keel should always be supported. Now of course I'm trying to drop it, so it can't always be supported, but for now, while I work at this, it's going to be supported. So my plan is to keep using that multi-tool and just dig in as deep as I can, and hopefully I can get that keel to drop. If I can't, then I don't know what happens next. Then I think I need to consider how I refill all of this that I'm digging out with something structural, like a thickened epoxy. So maybe it's like I buy like 100 pack of syringes with little tubes at the end of them, and start mixing up small batches of epoxy and jam it in there until it's completely sealed in and filled. Like, I don't want any voids, because those keel bolts have a lot of strength behind them. When you're sailing, there's a lot of force trying to pull this keel side to side. So a gap like that is just not good. I'll bend the bolts probably if I keep that gap. So that needs to be filled, and it needs to be structural. It'll be a lot easier if I could pull the freaking keel off the boat, but right now it's not looking good. So that's a setback. I kind of wish I hadn't started this project, but here I am. And that's it. I hope it gets better. Okay, we are trying to get this keel off. Decided that's the right way to go. This is loose. The keel is in fact hanging from the boat, and as I let go of the jack, there was no creaking, no cracking. I think we have enough support on the boat, so that's good. The strategy I'm going to go for taking this apart is to drive wedges in. As you can see here, I've got a couple, I don't know what these are called, metal wedges. What I've seen people do is drive a bunch of wooden wedges in. Now, I could not find any wooden wedges at the Home Depot here. In fact, I couldn't find any hardwoods in general. All the wood here was pine. I did find some hammer handles. They were pretty inexpensive, and they seemed like pretty tough wood. So I'm going to cut these up into some wedges and start pounding them in. You probably can't hear it, but as I pound these in, I can hear the sealant separating inside. It's a really cool sound, because that's what I want. Also, my battery charger for my power tools was not plugged in, so all my batteries are toast. That sucks, so I gotta wait. I don't think you can hear it, but I can hear it. She's going. this crack here. Yeah, it's growing. We'll get there. Oh. Oh, like that. You hear the popping? I can see through it here even. It's gonna happen. Hear that? Can you hear it? Feels like she's so close. Every time I hit any one of these, there's a snap, crackle, pop happening inside. Hear that? I can see light all the way through. Up. Try to get you close to the action somehow. Can you see light through there? I can see it. There it is. Yeah. All right. Now, one thing I did before I started hammering is I put nuts back on the tops of the bolts. So if it does fall, you know, in theory, she won't go far. But in practice, if this keel isn't suspended from the boat, we're gonna have a big problem. So, yeah, I wanted some assurances that it won't go far. That's why I put the nuts back on the tops of the bolts. Go. I can hear it. I can hear it. Down. Making progress. That gap. Undeniable now. Wow, I can see the bolts, I can see the sealant around the bolts. This is progress. Yes. All right. Well, that's done. So you can see, front is down, but not the back. And it's not because it's resting on anything down here. That's all loose, so there's no weight on the bottom of the keel. So what I think has happened is the front fell first, and it's the bolts are jammed in the holes. So I'm gonna go tighten up the nuts on the front, make sure the back is loose, and then we can keep working it. Okay, now I learned why the back of the keel refuses to drop. And it's because the 12th and what I thought was the last keel bolt is that one. But it turns out that there's an unlucky number 13. So I went inside and I looked around and I found it. So under the engine in a really hard to access spot. So I'm gonna try to jack this keel back up, tighten up the bolts to bring the whole thing up. We'll see if we can undo lucky number 13. I'll show you number 13. So I have been convinced that that was my aft keel bolt, but no, back here, get the light in there, I'll show you. Back in here, up there, down in that goop, lives lucky number 13. And it was buried under so much detritus and oily crap that I hadn't seen it. I really had to dig to find it. So I'm gonna keep digging that stuff out and we'll see what we have. Took 2 rounds, but I got it out. So now that that's out, let's loosen up the nuts down in here. I'm gonna put them right up at the tops of the bolts and we can finish dropping this keel. All right, let's release the jack, tighten everything down, and then I can get the nuts off the top. It looks good. Both hands here. There we go. All right. That's where she stays. So, jack is kind of fucked in there. Oh well, kind of bent the keel a bit there. Now she's resting on that. Still in the holes. So now what I'll do is tighten these up. I'm gonna pass a ratchet strap off the back here and just hold it all down. And then hopefully I can hoist the boat off of these. But I might not need to. I could probably do my work with it like that. That looks pretty good. All right, let's get to work.